Today we are preparing for our November focus on living generously. We'll be exploring what it is to be people so in touch with the audacious, unbounded, and radical grace of God in our lives that we can't help but live generously in the world. Recognizing what God has given each of us every day of our lives, we'll seek to be channels through which that same generosity flows into the world around us, through our resources of life, our finances, and our forgiveness. In the gospel reading this morning, the disciples plead with Jesus, "Increase our faith." And Jesus responds, reminding them that only a little faith can transform the world when we trust it and when we use it. That same is true of generosity. As increasing faith emerges in the everyday events of life, so does generosity. For faith is a matter of life. It is a how and not a what. As Bruce Epperly writes, belief finds its fulfillment in our responses to ordinary events. The world is made flesh at the workplace, in driving a child to school, in dealing with conflict, and facing difficult challenges of relationships, or challenging family situations. And those are the same places in which we are called to live generously. A clerk at a local convenience store saw an elderly man with a guide dog come in to go to the aisle with the greeting cards. And he watched him pick up a card and hold it extremely close to his face, struggling to read it. Well, just as the clerk was ready to go over to the man to help him, here comes a big burly truck driver, and he asked the elderly gentleman if he needed assistance. And then he proceeded to read him almost every single card in the shop out loud until the elderly man said, "That's it. My wife will love that one." Generosity. An 18-year-old college student put an ad on the Craigslist looking for a cheap laptop for his first semester of college. An elderly man replied saying he had one for him and dropped off a nearly brand new laptop. Now he insisted that he wanted nothing in return. In his words, he said, "I bought this 6 months ago, but I really just still use my desktop. So it's just sitting around collecting dust. So now I consider it a good investment in a young, bright future." Generosity. In Emmett Township, Michigan, just a few weeks ago, a police officer was on patrol when he pulled a vehicle over for a traffic violation. And as he approached the car, he noticed there was a small child in the back seat that, while having a seatbelt on, was not in the appropriate car seat. The young mother knew, she said, the importance of having a child in the proper car seat, but explained to the officer some of the hard times that the family had just fallen upon. So the officer, Ben Hall, had her pull into a local store parking lot and wait for him. A few minutes later, out he came with a brand new car seat. The mother said that the generous officer gave her some much-needed hope with this selfless act. She said, "For a police officer that could have just given me a ticket and gotten me in a whole lot of trouble, he, out of the kindness of his own heart and out of his own pocket, did something for me and my family that I'm never going to forget. He did his job, and above and beyond that, just to protect a little girl and to help a family who can't help themselves right now." Generosity. A passenger on a city bus watched a young teenage boy help an elderly woman with a cane onto the bus. The boy was so careful with her, assisting her every step of the way. The woman had the biggest smile on her face, and they both sat directly across from this other passenger. And just as the passenger was about to compliment this elderly woman on how polite and wonderful a young grandson she had, the teenager looked at the elderly woman and said, "Hi, my name's Chris. What's yours?" Generosity. While standing in a line at a store, a 9-year-old daughter asked her mother for a candy bar. After saying no twice, the mother gave in. The mother paid, and as they walked away, the little girl took the candy bar that her mother had given her and turned and handed the candy bar to a little boy that was behind her in line who was crying. The mother asked her why she'd given the candy bar away, and the young girl said she had heard the boy's mom tell him they didn't have money left for candy anymore until she could find another job. Generosity. Now, none of these stories are big things in and of themselves, but you know what? They made all the difference to the people experiencing them. By God's grace, discipleship requires not sort of unshakable confidence or even spectacular accomplishments. Luke's Jesus indeed makes extraordinary demands of his disciples, but discipleship requires ordinary and daily practices of fidelity and service. Jesus tells his disciples that we've got all we need to live generously, and that being generous, finally, is about recognizing all the God-given opportunities to just show up and to do what needs to be done. Doing our work, caring for those in need, protecting the vulnerable, reaching out to the lonely, befriending the friendless, keeping the world going, contributing to the common good. It's all that ordinary stuff that we do all the time, and when taken together and blessed by God, it's pretty darn extraordinary. Kind of like planting a mulberry tree in an ocean. Over the next few weeks, we'll give thanks for God's generosity to us. And we're going to seek to give thanks by living lives that are likewise generous. We'll focus on 3 aspects of generosity through storytelling: giving thanks for those who have taught us to be generous, committing ourselves to particular acts of generosity, and then looking at to who it is we want to inspire to be generous. So I want you this morning, if you would, to take out the leaves that you found in your bulletin when you came in. Most of you should have them. There's a stack of 3 leaves, so take them out. Grab a pen or a pencil. I should have told you that at the beginning, to have a pen or a pencil ready. I want you to look at the first leaf, the green leaf. And the top it says, the teacher of generosity. And then there's a blank, a space for you to write someone's name. It has shown me what it is to live a life of generosity and gratitude. I want you to take a moment and think about who is it in your life that's shown you what it is to be generous, that's shown you and taught you or modeled for you what graciousness and gratitude is all about. And then I want you to write their name on that line. And I want you to do it while we're talking. Do it now. And then if you'd like to, we'd like you to sign your name so we know who's remembering who today. And if the story the person that you're writing about is someone you'd like to share, be willing to share either in a short story or verbally or on a video, then there's a little box there. It says, I'm willing to share my story about this person who inspired me. So if that's the case, you can check that box as well, and then Stewardship Committee will contact you. So think about it and pray, who are the teachers of generosity? Then we turn to the orange leaf, which talks about our own lives of generosity. There are things in our lives and places and situations that we have a great passion for, that we care deeply about. And those are the ways and the places in which God's calling us to be at work at sharing generosity, to share our lives and to live in gratitude. So what we'd like to know is, God has placed what at the center of your heart? What area of focus, what area in the world, what area in our community do you feel really strongly about and want to share your generosity with, and to write that God has placed whatever you would put in there on your heart. So that you are recognizing those deep concerns that you have is really a nudging from God of where it is you might spend your time and your energy. And then it goes on and says, I'll pray for this ministry, and I'll give generously to the whole mission and ministry at FUMC as I'm able. And again, an opportunity to sign your name. And if you're willing to share a story about this area in your life that you're passionate about, check that box so that we can contact you and find out what it is and that God is exciting you about and calling you to be passionate about in your life of generosity. Then we go to the last leaf, the yellow leaf. And it says, future givers. I want my life to serve as an example and a legacy of giving and gratitude for the benefit of whom? Who do you hope that your generosity, your giving, your gratitude inspires? Why do you want to give now? For what kind of a future? Who are you building a future for? Maybe it's children, your grandchildren. Maybe it's a neighbor down the street. Who is it that you would like to inspire a spirit of generosity and gratitude within? And again, if you're willing to share a story that shows the importance of today's givers being an example for future givers, we'd invite you to check that box. For the next few weeks, every Sunday as you come into worship, there'll be baskets at the back of the sanctuary with these leaves in it. If you'd like to add more names or add more areas of mission or ministry that you're in your heart, or you think of more people, examples of who you would like to leave a legacy of generosity for, you can be able to pick those out and fill them out. We'll have a basket ready to collect those. And when you come into worship on November 2nd, there will be a rather lovely tree that will be here that will have all the leaves that we have been writing over the last couple of weeks. That will be a part of our theme of generosity and growing in gratitude. Sisters and brothers, living generously is putting one foot in front of the other and walking toward a future we do not yet see, but we trust that God is fashioning. Living generously is heading out the door each day looking for opportunities to be God's partner and co-worker in the world. Living generously is imagining that the various challenges put in front of us, whether solving a problem at work or forgiving someone who has wronged us, are actually opportunities to grow as disciples and witnesses to God's presence and goodness in the world. Maybe living generously is just being attentive to the needs around us and committing ourselves to doing what we can with what we've got, trusting that God will make use of it. We're going to come to the table today with our leaves. This table, this is the place we come where we taste the abundance of God's love for us. It's where we come to drink of the overflowing grace that sustains us each and every day. It's the place where we ask Jesus to increase our faith and where he reminds us gently and confidently, you already have enough faith. Just put it into practice. As we sing, the trees of the field will clap their hands. We're going to bring our leaves to the table. And here we will begin to offer our stories of generosity. We'll renew our commitment to live abundantly through sharing with others, and we'll celebrate the future to which God is calling. Come as we sing and dance, and giving thanks that we are alive and that we are called to live generously in Christ's name. We'll sing this song, we'll sing a verse, and then Young will play a verse, and we'll sing again until everybody has a chance to come forward and to offer your leaves in the baskets. So I will invite you to stand as you are able and come forward as you're able. If you can't come down easily, you can give it to your neighbor and have them bring, and let's sing and offer our leaves.